To put it simply, Opus Magnum is an open-ended puzzle game made by the infamous Zectronics Industries Incorporated. And not the actual title, I'm pretty sure. But as you can see, it centers around building machines that automate processes. So as a visual representation of this is one machine that I made to solve a problem. And in order to preserve your not knowledge of the story and to not spoil you, I'm not going to tell you exactly any of the details around this. But as you can see, you have arms, they follow instructions. There are a number of arms to pick from. And you have tracks. As you can see, one is here, that the arms can move along. You have special components like this wheel that transmutes this neutral salt into elemental atoms. And if you haven't already told from what you can see, the theme is alchemy. There, now. You also have these things that connect them together into molecules, these things that can split them. These that transmute metal here, as you can see. Between their stages, you can go up but not down. Starting at lead, progressing, as you can see. Obvious. These splitters here that split the neutral salt into light and dark element. To be specific, this thing that transmutes one element into another, and I don't think it even needs to be on this wheel. I think it can just be any elemental atom on this plate, and then a neutral salt on this one, but I'm not sure. Of course you can use all the inputs if you wanted to, but since it's open-ended, you don't need to in some cases, and in other cases you do. And the level of open-endedness is, you have these parts, now solve this problem in any way you want, I don't care how, which allows you to exercise your intellect and be quite satisfied in solving a problem your way, which is not common in modern games, or really in ancient games either. I remember platforming games, of course you can solve them a number of different ways, that is, the linear ones. However, it's all very formulaic. In this isn't even the only way you could do this. You could do this all with one arm if you wanted to. One arm in tracks, or even this thing. You could use... that's a description, general description of the game. My experience now, I can detail. In my experience of the game, the first few chapters of it are getting you up to speed. It's a warm-up area, and it gets you adequately acquainted with the mechanics of the game, and the story is really good, especially for a puzzle game. Without the story, it's a good puzzle game, but with it, it's completed. The next few chapters, the midpoints, after the preface, the game starts to ramp up, and the difficulty can get quite intense at certain points, and the difficulty of the levels and the complexity of the levels allows for even further creative breadth. There's more you can do with it. There's more ways to solve the problem, and so the game starts to really present its soul during the midpoint, and then later on you get puzzles like this one that are very satisfying in how open they are. There's even one which gives you only this, and you need to make all of the elements from it from a specific type of molecule that only has a specific type of a number of specific types of atom. And of course those can be reduced to salt with this here, and so it's a dual action, you can go either way. but this arm here isn't even available until later on. What else can I say? Oh yes, the instructions, as you can see, can get quite complex themselves. So the arms, they follow the instructions on repeat. Unfortunately, they don't have conditional instructions sensing what type of atom they're holding, or if there is one there at all, or something like that, and performing actions based on that. They only perform these preset actions. However, there is one way to get the conditional branching you want, and that is with molecules. So depending on a molecule's rotation, an arm might be able to pick it up or not. And things like that, difficult to describe but easy to show. One person even made a processor in this game using that, which executed instructions based on input molecules, which is basically like an instruction ROM that's preset. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. You can make your own levels and share them, which is pretty great. There's also challenge levels. There's a lot here, even past the base game. In fact, you could even say the base game is just the prologue to the rest of it, which is the real game. I don't even know how many levels there are on the Steam Workshop. Probably hundreds of thousands by now. That's a lot of replay value. Of course, most of them are probably trash, as is usual by user-made content. Not to insult the users, that is, that's just the nature of things. But there are, of course, gems even there. What was I saying about, oh yes, the experience? Overall, very strong story, very well made. The art style, as you can see, is immaculate and very expressive, which is also great. What else? The mechanics of the game are very well polished. I have yet to run into any real bugs or problems with the game, which is stunning. There are many other games which it would be hard not to crash after at least an hour. What else? So it's very stable, very good interface. Hotkeys for all the instructions, which makes setting up instructions very easy. What else? Oh yes, styled after all the other Zachtronics games, which are all also some of my favorites. I'll be reviewing those later. Enough of that though. Try to stay on task. What else? The overall experience is pretty great. However, it's very intellectually intensive, demanding, so keep that in mind. It won't just be handed to you, you need to fight for it, which is actually in some ways great. This is not for the casual user, however. This game is very much oriented to the hardcore extremists, which is great for them, but really bad for people who just want to have a casual experience, which is not me, by the way. I'm very not a casual gamer. But don't let that dissuade you. Even if you are a casual, you could probably derive enjoyment from this even in the opening sectors, the opening chapters. What else? Oh yes, I think last time I checked it's between $10 and $20 on Steam, which, well worth it. What else? Oh, probably move on to pros and cons now. Pros, high quality, all the parts are high quality and fit together really well. Intellectually demanding. Oh yeah, there's a lot of levels. There's also a lot of side story. There's even a mini game built into it, which is interesting. I personally never played it though. Cons? Well, the pros and the cons, I think, in some cases could even be the same components, because, well, you see, in some cases, it's not wise to use a knife as a hammer or a hammer as a knife, you see, to put it simply. I think that's everything, actually. There's a lot to talk about, but most of it is small details that a summary shouldn't cover, and this should be a summary, which it is, I think. I should end now. And here's another one. Another level, you see, I solved with only one arm. You can do it with multiple arms to make it faster, and that's another thing. Most of the game is in the optimization of the machines, not the actual building of them. And so you can do it stylistically by making a very elaborate machine that's very impractical but looks nice, or you can optimize for speed, size, or cost. Cost, as you can see here, is in the parts. The size is this footprint. How much space is used by the machine in this world space. This is the one I optimized for size and cost. The one I optimized for speed is insane. I should show that now, actually. This is the one I optimized for speed, and look at it. It's a monster. So there's a lot of replay value, and that's another pro, actually. And so overall, I would probably recommend Opus Magnum to almost anyone, but especially to people who like open-ended puzzles, because that's what this is. And personally, I know that's what I like. I like making machines. Especially machines that perform tasks based on instructions. Not ironically, coincidentally, which is exactly what this is. So, if I were you, I'd probably wait for a sale anyway, because because why not be miserly and save money? That way you can buy even more games.